Joseph Henry Blackburne was one of the top chess players in the 1800s and early 1900s. He was so good, in fact, he could beat people blindfolded. Today's video is going to showcase his beautiful blindfold victory over Charles Thomas Blanchard. And we're going to look at this, again, this is in our series, Logical Chess, move by move, every move explained by Ernie Chernev. We are going to be seeing game number 4 here. Let's sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Here, White, without seeing the board, plays the move e4. He's simply speaking the moves, and when he says it, somebody at the board actually makes the move. So he doesn't have to find the pieces blindfolded. Here, Black plays e5, and White plays f4, the extremely aggressive and in style in the 1800s King's Gambit. And not to be confused with the 2020 Queen's Gambit series. Very different. Here, the main idea is to try and force Black's central pawn to exchange itself for White's side pawn. And I say exchange itself because really this pawn will be captured back at some point as soon as White pushes this pawn and grabs it with the bishop. Here, Black understands that you're not really going to keep the pawn, so he plays bishop c5. Counter gambiting a pawn. Is that a word? Here, now, White is tempted to take on e5, which would give Black a winning advantage after queen to h4, pawn to g3, and queen to e4, winning the rook. Players at this time were much less concerned about material and much more concerned about developing and attacking. So bishop c5 makes a lot of sense, and of course that pawn wasn't captured. Knight went to c3, again, not defending the f4 pawn. Here, the knight comes to c6, finally defending the e-pawn. Knight to f3, and now we see pawn takes pawn. And this really isn't a good move. It looks bad, and it is bad. This just cedes complete control of the center to the White army. Of course, what's White's best move? This should not be too hard for you. When your opponent leaves the center, you should take it. Pawn d4, controlling the center. This is wonderful for White. The bishop moves over to b4, and now the bishop took on f4. Material is restored, and we have just better development as White. Here, Black plays the move d5, and this wasn't the game-losing blunder, but it really turns the game in the wrong direction. As we have shown in the past 2 games in this series, if you haven't watched those, go back and watch them. The closed center, when you have a space advantage on the king side, indicates you should attack on the king side. So here, White has a ready-made kingside attack, and not only that, he also has an open file for his rook once he gets castled. This is just setting up for a beautiful attack. Again, with just this pawn move, the game is already out of Black's reach strategically, but it's going to have to be won. Let me show you how it was. Here, Black took on c3. I guess he said this is a closed position. Let's trade bishop for knight. Sure. Pawn takes c3, now bishop to e6. Here, White plays bishop to d3. Don't attack before you're fully developed. h6 was played, and this is really not a good move. I guess he might have been marginally afraid of something like knight g5, but this really wasn't something to be afraid of. He should have just focused on developing his pieces, maybe playing the move queen to d7 and castles queenside. Castling queenside looks a little strange, but it's definitely better than moving your king to the side of the board where it will be attacked viciously. The h-pawn pushed to h6, White castles, and knight ge7. And after rook b1, threatening b7, Black plays b6, White goes queen to d2, and here Black makes the game-losing blunder. End of story. Here, castling is a blunder, and he does it! He castles the king. Don't ever tell your chess coach I said this, but castling is a blunder sometimes. Okay? Castling into a position where the center is closed and your opponent has a space advantage on this side of the board. His pawns are aiming in the kingside direction. He also has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 pieces that are aiming at this king side. He has that open F file for the rook. You should never go here. It is worse than staying in the middle. It is, I said it, okay? Sue me. Don't sue me. But it is true. Castling is the game-losing blunder. Can you see why? It's White to play. White found a beautiful move to win this game. Here, White found the best move. Bishop takes h6. And now black is in huge trouble. Even if you don't take the bishop, you're going to be facing a strong attack. So black captures, white took on h6, black plays knight g6, a logical move to bring the knight closer to the defense. Everything else loses as well. Here, knight g5 is played, and of course we're threatening mate in 1. You cannot stop this move, so you have to make it not be checkmate. The only way to make it not be checkmate is to slide the rook out of the way. But in this position, we are not going to go queen to h7, though that would be checkmate in 3. There is another more beautiful checkmate here that the blindfolded Blackburne played. He found rook takes f7. Beautiful move. Now, of course, this is threatening a bunch of different roasts here. We got a bunch of different checkmates coming in. So the rook, of course, has to be executed. But now that the bishop is no longer controlling f7, notice in this position, had we gone rook here, we can't go queen takes f7 because of the bishop. Because the bishop no longer guards f7, you don't guard the square you're on. Here, queen to h7 and queen to f7 would have been checkmate. So that's why after rook takes f7, queen to h7 here, black resigned. The game is over. A beautiful blindfold victory from Blackburne. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, this is the fourth game in this book, Logical Chess, Move by Move, Every Move Explained by Ernie Chernev. Awesome book. If you enjoyed this, go watch the last 3 videos, and hopefully you will learn something in those. I'll see you next time. Bye!